Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Barbara Velasco, and I'm here with my colleague Ernesto Ayala, and we're from the planning team at Pacoima Beautiful. In case you all didn't know, Pacoima Beautiful is a grassroots environmental justice organization made up of leaders, planners, organizers, health promoters, and advocates who work towards a healthier and safer San Fernando Valley. We also make up a part of the Green Together Collaborative, which is a coalition of 7 organizations that work towards improving the quality of life in the Northeast Valley, a region that has been historically underinvested in. Our end goal is to implement neighborhood level plans that will help reduce greenhouse emissions. To date, the Green Together Collaborative has worked to plant over 1,000 street trees, has implemented local workforce development programs in sectors such as solar and street tree maintenance, has advocated for the expansion of solar infrastructure in Los Angeles, has engaged community members in the renovation of local parks and infrastructure improvements, and continues to work to make sure that all residents can take advantage of all the resources that we work to be able to provide.
And as we provide resources for local residents, the Los Angeles Business Council continues to work to provide property owners in the area with the opportunity to harness a natural resource that is abundant in the San Fernando Valley. Despite this weather, we all know it's usually very, very hot. So we have a lot of that resource. We know that buildings in Los Angeles make up 40% of greenhouse gas emissions in the city, and the city and state have initiated many efforts to cut these emissions back as much as possible, and considering the MFIT program for your respective buildings, it would allow you to be at the forefront of this greater move towards solar energy. We hope that you step away from this workshop and truly consider taking advantage of this resource that will bring us all closer to achieving climate goals and reducing greenhouse gas emissions while allowing your tenants and yourselves to be able to enjoy savings and economic prosperity. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Barbara and Ernesto, and that was well said, Ernesto. Good morning. I'm Mary Leslie. I'm president of the Los Angeles Business Council, and we're happy to be hosting this workshop today with Assemblywoman Luz Rivas, and also the Department of Water and Power, who's here today to do a presentation on their new programs. We also have a host of solar providers that, after we have this brief program, you're going to be able to go back and talk to one-on-one about your particular properties. And also I want to thank Wells Fargo, who has helped fund and support all of our activity out here since 2018. But really today we're here to talk about solar roofs and why it's a good opportunity for the Pacoima area. Department of Water and Power created a program back in 2013 called the Feed-in Tariff Program. It's a German program. That's where the name came from. It's very hard to understand what feed-in tariff means. But what it really means is if you generate solar on your roof, you're selling it back to the grid at a price. And it's a guaranteed price, and it's a guaranteed price over time. So if you're not going to use the power yourself, you're getting a revenue from producing power that helps all the rest of the city of Los Angeles become clean. And our goal is by 2035 in the city of Los Angeles to be 100% carbon free. We also have a net metered program, which I hope many of you have also heard of, which allows you on a residential home to roll back your meter to reduce your electrical power costs. But today we're going to really talk about the solar feed-in tariff, and you probably know we have over 600 megawatts of solar in the city of LA, and that we're the #1 solar city in America. I don't know if you know that, but we are the #1 solar city in America, and we intend to take that 600 megawatts and make it 2 gigawatts over the next 10 years. And to do that, we're going to have to scale it. So today we're going to talk about a solar canopy and carport incentives that DWP is offering. If you can't put solar on your roof for various reasons, you can put it on your carport or your canopy. And if you do that, you will also have the option to power an electric vehicle with the solar carport to further the EV adoption. So what you're going to start to see over the next 6 or 7 years is a combination of solar, with storage, with these EV chargers. And it's going to allow us to, each individual property to be more resilient. I'd also like to call out the energy providers and solar providers we have in the back. Today you'll have the opportunity to talk with DWP. Ronak is with us, and he's going to do a brief presentation. We also have Matt with us from PCS Energy. He's raising his hand. We have Patrick and Lewis with us from Valta, and we have John with us from GreenQuest. I'd also like to just say and thank our partners here. Part of the work we've been doing since 2018 in Pacoima has been through a grant by the state of California called the Transformative Climate Communities. And in this partnership, Pacoima Beautiful is our partner, along with Trust for the Public Land, Grid Alternatives, LA Conservation Corps, UCLA, community partners, and the City of Los Angeles. So we want to thank them all. And it is now my honor to introduce today's moderator, Jack Orley. He's the Senior Community Relations VP for Wells Fargo Corporate Philanthropy and Community Relations Team. Jack.
Thanks, Mary. I know the last name was tough, too. I appreciate that. Wells Fargo is honored for the support, the work that LABC has been doing in the communities of Pacoima and Sun Valley, and we believe that the long-term place-based investments have the most impact on economic development and equitable solutions. So environmental sustainability is one of our 4 pillars in the foundation. And over the last few years, we've donated $500,000 to environmental initiatives across Los Angeles. In particular, we work with Pacoima Beautiful to support their improvements to David Gonzalez Park and green transportation, the LA Parks Foundation to plant new shade trees in Devonshire, Arletta Park, not too far from here. We supported Grid Alternatives and their work to make solar panels low cost and accessible to families across SoCal, including a couple special initiative grants that we did for Pacoima residents in particular. Of course, to the LABC, to the support for their work for the feed-in tariff that Mary mentioned, which you'll hear more about later today. And these local efforts reflect our larger company commitment to sustainability, which includes nearly $75 billion in financing for sustainable work projects in the businesses across the country. I'd like to thank the LABC, Pacoima Beautiful, for their multi-year efforts to bring these sustainability programs to Pacoima and Sun Valley, and encourage all of you here to participate. So, hold on one second, let me get through my papers here. To kick off the presentation, I have the honor to introduce a good friend to the LABC and a champion for clean energy and job creation, Assemblymember Luz Rivas. And let me tell you, I got this script earlier this week. Luz has got it going on. Let me give you a couple highlights here. She was born in Los Angeles to an immigrant family and grew up in the Northeast San Fernando Valley. She attended the LA Unified Schools before earning a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from MIT and a Master of Education from Harvard. Luz has built her career at the intersection of engineering and education before entering public service. She worked as an electrical design engineer at Motorola before founding DIY Girls. It's a nonprofit that provides enrichment programs focused on encouraging young girls to pursue careers in science, engineering, and technology. In 2016, she was appointed by Mayor Eric Garcetti to the Los Angeles Board of Public Works. Luz was elected and sworn into the California State Assembly in June of 2018. Since then, she has been appointed as the chair of Assembly Committee on Natural Resources and currently serves on the Assembly Committees on Budget Subcommittee number 3 on Resources and Transportation, Health, Local Government Revenue and Taxation, the Joint Legislative Committee on Emergency Management. She is also the chair of Select Committee of the Nonprofit Sector and serves on the Select Committee on Latina Inequality Municipalities and Select Committee on Coastal Protection and Access to Natural Resources. During Luz's time in the Assembly, her priority has been to uplift and empower underrepresented communities. She's been extraordinarily successful as a leader in delivering substantive policy, such as reforming the state's response to homelessness, providing universal school meals to all K-12 students, creating California Youth Empowerment Commission to increase youth civic engagement, and advocating for environmental justice through her role as the chair of the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources. Luz believes in her highest honor is to represent the community where she grew up in. Wow. Without further ado, here is Assemblywoman Luz Rivas.
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you, Jack, for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, LA Business Council, Pacoima Beautiful, everyone that is here. You ended my introduction with the community that I grew up in. I grew up here in Pacoima, down the street, right here, Van Nuys and Telfair, near Bobo's Burgers, if you're from around here. And so it's great to be here and be here for this purpose, right? This workshop kind of merges a lot of my interests and passions, right? I'm an engineer by training, electrical engineer, so I understand how solar energy works, how all that process works, how we use the sun to power our homes. I'm from Pacoima, and this project, this TCC project, is very important to me because this is my community and it's funded by the state of California, which I am your state representative. And so merges this so much that I'm interested in. That's why I had to say yes to come here. So thank you again for inviting me. I was elected 5 years ago. I just celebrated my 5-year anniversary last week. And it's been amazing to be in this role and represent my community. I'm currently the chair of Assembly Natural Resources Committee. And natural resources covers, areas like climate change, wildfire resiliency, a lot of the reasons that we're here today. Carbon emissions, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, air quality. And so I am so lucky to get to work on these issues and lead this committee. But a lot of what I advocate for as the chair and what I think I bring to this role is making sure that environmental justice communities are not left out in this, that we are not. I care about the coast and I love our ocean. I'm very passionate about that. But when we talk about climate and clean energy, we can't just be focused on coastal communities or other communities, right? What about our communities? The gentleman from Pacoima Beautiful mentioned, we get a lot of sun here, right? I grew up here in the valley. It gets very hot here in the summer. This is one of the hottest areas of Los Angeles. And those of us that grew up here that didn't have air conditioning especially, know how hot it gets and how unbearable that is. And that's one of the reasons I've worked on extreme heat mitigation through legislation and through our budget process. We're also in a community that in the past, hasn't been prioritized for trees and other mitigation measures from the heat. And so those are some issues that I've worked on in the legislature. But today I'm excited because we're here to learn more about how we can all contribute to a cleaner energy future, through solar power. And it's available here in our communities. And that's what's exciting about these projects and this big grant that I know Mary mentioned, the Transformative Climate Communities, which is a very exciting, that happened my first year in office, and was very excited to support and see that Pacoima Beautiful and their partners got this grant. And so, I'm just very excited that we get to learn more and that these resources are coming to our communities. And, basically that's like my mission as a legislator, right? That these resources that are available, these that we're talking about in the legislature when we go to Sacramento, that it's actually going to happen here, right? In the areas that I represent. It's funny, we're talking about clean energy and infrastructure. I've been on some calls with the governor's office and the Assembly and the Senate. We're currently negotiating these infrastructure bills that the governor has proposed. Right after this, I have to go back home and get on a Zoom again because we have a short deadline. It has to be done by next week if we want the governor to sign our budget. So there's a lot of pressure, but the goal is to accelerate clean energy throughout our state, right? Because, California has been very aggressive on setting climate goals, right? We have goals that we want to meet by 2030 and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And then we have additional goals that are set for 2045. And it's exciting to be part of a state that's leading the world. The world follows what California does in climate legislation. A few years ago, I was able to participate in the UN Climate Change Conference in Scotland, and there was all these countries that wanted to meet with California so they could find out what's next. What's coming, what are you guys working on now? Because we know that the world follows California eventually, and we want to know what's going on. And so that's very exciting to be part of that. But today we're focused on what happens locally. And that's also important because we want to make sure that disadvantaged communities are not left out in any of these discussions or any of these plans, and that we have the resources we need to also be part of a clean energy future here in Pacoima, in Sun Valley, in Arleta, and San Fernando. And so that's why that motivates me to continue my work in the legislature. And as chair of Assembly Natural Resources, I'm proud to support LADWP's feed-in tariff programs and net energy metering programs, which you'll learn about today. These programs aim to work with property owners in partnering with solar developers, to lease your property rooftops for solar panels. And I know a lot of people want to learn about it. Sometimes it seems it's not accessible to everybody, that maybe if you have a lot of money. And so that's why it's great to be here to learn more about the details and whether this will work for you or not. Whether you're a small business owner, your home. I've had a lot of questions for my own home, whether I should do this or not, and I continue to do the research, whether it makes sense. But that's why it's great to be here to learn more about this and see if this works for you. So I'm looking forward just to seeing how these programs will change our community and will get our community members to think more and see how they're participating in a clean energy future, and meeting California's goals. So I hope that the information that you get today will be useful and resourceful, and that you'll learn a lot from the presenters today. So thank you again to DWP, Pacoima Beautiful, I have Valta Energy, PCS Energy, Wells Fargo, and others that are here today to bring this information to our community. Next, I'd like to present LADWP. I have Ronik, right? Sorry, I can't find the last name. But thank you for being here and for presenting to our community on how we can participate in these programs. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Again, thank you, Assemblywoman Rivas, for the wonderful introduction and, championing our local solar programs as we look to transition to 100% clean energy by 2035 or sooner. My name is Ronak Chikalia, and I am the Feed-in Tariff Program Manager that oversees our distributed energy resource programs under a newly found division called the Resource Planning, Development and Programs at the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. So for today's agenda, we will highlight LADWP's local solar portfolio. We will talk about our very successful DER programs that include net energy metering, the feed-in tariff program, and our Fit Plus pilot program that was recently board approved and launched. I'll also talk about the carport incentive that was recently board approved a couple of months ago. I think this is a very important element that we just recently board approved that allows, property owners to, take advantage of this one-time incentive that we're offering. So as you can see here on our slide, our approach basically is a portfolio of programs. We have various programs that cater to our customer and grid needs, which has allowed us to deploy over 660 megawatts of installed solar here in Los Angeles. Our largest megawatt generators are the net energy metering program and the FIT program. No single program alone solves our grid needs. It's all about a portfolio. So through successful partnerships we have built, with various stakeholders here today that advocate for our local solar programs, LADWP has retained the #1 solar city title in the United States based on total installed solar PV capacity for 7 of the past 8 years. So a round of applause here to everybody, and thank you for being a champion for LADWP's programs. So jumping right in, our net energy metering program has been very successful from its inception, and basically this program is typically the first we recommend our customers. So as you can see in the graphic, you install solar photovoltaic panels on the roof, and it connects to the electric distribution system. So this program is tailored towards customers looking to basically reduce their on-site load by installing a PV system, through a contractor of their choice. So this system is interconnected to LADWP's grid as a behind-the-meter system, and in essence, the net difference basically between the on-site load and the PV generation at the facility is what the customer is responsible for paying. So any excess generation will be applied as credits to the customer's future bill, and NEM customers are still able to take advantage of the investment tax credit that is still available. So our feed-in tariff program has been also very popular since its inception back in 2013. This program enables property owners and developers to install 30 kilowatt systems or greater and feed the energy directly into the local distribution grid, as you heard earlier. And so under this program, LADWP will purchase all the energy from FIT projects for up to 20 years through a power purchase agreement. So the minimum term contract is 10 years, and you can go up to 20 years. This program generates, local renewable capacity through a public-private partnership, while LADWP achieve city and state goals, and also, accelerating our transition to 100% clean energy. So what are some of the benefits of the feed-in tariff program? As a property owner, you can monetize an underutilized asset. You have a constant revenue stream on a monthly basis up to 20 years. You help Los Angeles achieve its long-term commitment to 100% clean energy, and you also help improve local grid reliability with all these different types of DERs connected. As a solar developer, you help create local employment opportunities in the development and ongoing maintenance of these facilities. You also have an opportunity to, expand your portfolio as there is a need for more of these types of projects throughout the city of Los Angeles. And there's also a unique opportunity, again, to secure the investment tax credit up to 40% per the Inflation Reduction Act. So here are some highlights of what the program has gone through recently. The Los Angeles City Council has authorized a runway of 450 megawatts for the feed-in tariff program that will basically be available in 50 megawatt tranches as we learn more about the market and use up, existing awarded capacity. So the FIT program now is also open to all renewable technologies and not just solar. So basically anything that the California Energy Commission deems as a renewable asset is eligible to apply for the program. We also updated the pricing structure of our current offering, to ensure that we have more small-scale and medium-scale distribution projects, since this is where we have a current need. So for in-basin solar projects greater than 3 megawatts, the price is 13.5 cents per kilowatt hour. For projects between 500 kilowatts and 3 megawatts, the price is 14 cents per kilowatt hour. And lastly, for projects on the smaller scale between 30 to 500 kilowatts, the price we pay is 14.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And then for non-PV projects, basically in the Owens Valley, the price per kilowatt is lower. And here's just a slide basically summarizing what I just said. Okay, so this is the recent modification we made to the existing feed-in tariff program. So our board approved an incentive adder to promote more carport and canopy solar adoption that will have an electric vehicle service requirement. So as you can see on my slide, of the 101.7 megawatts of FIT projects that are in service, only 8.5% of these commissioned systems are in the form of steel structures through carports or canopies. Carport and canopy solar adoption has been extremely challenging, and we want to increase adoption, throughout the city of Los Angeles. So the recent LA 100 study that was published has identified approximately 3,900 megawatts of parking canopy potential. This means, that we have a unique opportunity to develop more of these types of systems. So LADWP is proposing incentivizing these types of systems through a separate funding mechanism that does not impact our ratepayers. So not only do we want to increase carport and canopy solar, but we also want to increase the adoption, of electric transportation here in Southern California through the installation of EV charging infrastructure. The EV transportation program obviously has specific goals to increase the number of available commercial EV charging stations in the city to 45,000 by 2025, which is a very aggressive goal. And I think through this partnership, we will be, certainly able to get to that goal. So, as mentioned in my previous slide, we propose a two-pronged approach to promote both carport, solar, and EVs. So basically, we have segregated the FIT carport requirement into two segments. One is where the charger rebate is available, and the other is when no commercial EV charger rebate is available. And additionally, if you are in a disadvantaged community, the EV chargers are required to be publicly accessible. So if a carport commercial EV charger rebate is available, all carport projects must include a minimum of 25% of the parking spaces with electric vehicle service equipment. So let's say your parking lot can accommodate 200 parking spaces that will have carport solar. Of these 200 parking spaces, 50% of them will be required to be equipped with EVSs, which is the 25% requirement. And so for carport solar projects now without the commercial EV charger rebate, a minimum of 10% of the parking spaces is required to be is required, with this electric vehicle service equipment. The minimum electric vehicle service equipment may also be reduced by 5 level 2 chargers for every direct current fast charger that's installed. So while the FIT carport and canopy incentive will be offered throughout the in-basin LADWP service territory, it will be targeted to disadvantaged communities as designated by the California Environmental Protection Agency pursuant to Senate Bill 535. So by targeting these communities, the incentive will also encourage development of renewable energy resources in areas of low solar penetration. So this provides additional value to LADWP's electric system by alleviating impacted distribution circuits that will allow us to increase resiliency throughout the city. So as you can see on the slide, we are offering an incentive basically that's based on the system size. So for projects that are in disadvantaged communities, we are proposing a slightly higher incremental increase of about 20 cents to promote more carport and EV adoption in these communities. So as an example, let's say you have a 200 kilowatt system that's located in a disadvantaged community. You would basically receive approximately $340,000 in additional funding as a one-time incentive. And this incentive will basically be available once the project is commissioned and that this particular project has satisfied all the requirements of the program. The feed-in tariff program has its own website at www.ladwp.com/FIT. And basically here you can find all the relevant information and updated program documents, that includes our guideline, business contract forms, and other forms that are required to partake in the program. So I also wanted to highlight our Fit Plus pilot program that was also recently board approved, and basically we expanded the existing Fit program to include 10 megawatts of solar and paired energy storage projects. And these projects are currently limited to preferred zones of development, where the value of energy exported to the grid is the greatest. So the Fit Plus program will allow us to basically determine key processes to facilitate a broader DER deployment model. The FIT program is structured through a competitive bidding process where, in essence, LADWP will purchase energy for a term not to exceed 20 years. So while the primary purpose of the FIT Plus pilot program is to export energy to the grid, projects may also be designed to increase the reliability and resiliency. So, each facility is required to conduct normal operations, but applicants also have the option to conduct additional resiliency and or peak shaving operations, for their projects as needed. LADWP is, accepting new applications under, a rebid that was currently open, where we basically took unused capacity from the 3 tranches A, B, and C and allocated it to, all the 3 zones, which includes the South LA, East Valley, and the West LA regions. For projects participating in the Fit Plus program, systems will only interconnect currently to our 4.8 kV distribution system and are also limited to a 500 kilowatt system size. One nice thing about this pilot program is that developers can leverage an incentive where LADWP offers an eligible project reimbursement of up to $150,000 in interconnection costs. So the current competitive bidding period is open. We have about 9.2 megawatts of available capacity under this bidding period. Again, thank you very much for this opportunity to talk about our local solar programs. If you have any specific questions, I'm more than happy to address them. You can also reach out to us directly on the website at LADWP LABC.com/FIT. Our information is there. There's also a contact phone number where you can call us if you have any specific questions related to the programs we have. Thank you very much. I believe they are. So if there is like a particular location we're looking at, perhaps an address can be provided, and then I'll have someone from my team look at it and see if that particular address is within that pocket or region, since it is within specific regions.
There's a big commercial development that's being planned.
Yeah.
It's just bought. Maybe we should look at.
Sure, yeah. And so one thing to keep in mind for the Fit Plus pilot program is we are going to be expanding in this next quarter. And what we plan to do in essence is we're going to expand it further with an additional 25 megawatts of capacity, and you would be able to interconnect to a 34.5 kV distribution site as well. So we've already established some other pockets where we have a grid need. So it'll be very similar to the way the existing 4.8 kV distribution system is, where we have specific regions. In a similar fashion, we'll have specific pockets as well. So I think there will be more of an opportunity for other projects to develop, because we also won't be limited size-wise. We'll be able to accommodate larger systems up to 3 megawatts. Any? Sure. Yeah, great question. So yeah, I mean, at the time your contract is obviously complete, you can make an informed decision as to whether you want to continue. We could explore an option to get into another contract for up to a certain time. But at that point, I think it's best to explore how your system is doing overall, because obviously you have to take degradation into account. So that's something you potentially, yes, or but hopefully in 20 years panels will be much lower. There may be some other renewable technology that we could incorporate. Any other questions? Okay, I see none. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
There it is. Thanks, Ronica. Great information. So now we're going to have all three solar providers that are here with us today introduce themselves to you all, explain the work that they do in the programs they specialize in. We're going to start with Valta Energy. So help me in welcoming Patrick Walker, Director of Sales and Origination, and Luis Phillips, Director of Business Development of Valta Energy.
So again, my name is Patrick Walker with Valta Energy. I have Luis Phillips back with us as well. Thanks for having us, LABC, and everybody here in attendance. Valta Energy was started in 2009 with a focus on programs ranging from where we're based out of here in California. We have projects in Hawaii, Massachusetts, Maine, Rhode Island, New York City, and kind of constantly looking into different markets where we can find. So again, we have projects basically spanning across the nation from Hawaii onto the East Coast. Our focus is in solar PV assets with investment grade or high credit quality off-takers, such as the program here in LADWP. So currently, we've been basically one of the leaders in the charge for LADWP FIT program. We've been working with LADWP since the inception of the program, I believe in 2013, and we have projects ranging in size from 400 kilowatts all the way up to 4 megawatts DC, depending on roof size. We have a team of experienced roofers, vertically integrated engineers, and everything from start to finish, so we can help you as a business owner basically develop programs that work specifically for you and your needs, all in-house, so we can help you kind of navigate the different terms of what LADWP FIT program is about. Currently, right now, Valta has 40 plus megawatts spanning over 50 projects in LADWP, so we are definitely one of the biggest providers within LADWP. our team knows everything from interconnection all the way from my job, which is origination, talking to business owners, talking to people that have the rooftops and the space for carports, so we can help implement, so you can utilize your space. We can help you monetize that space and partner with you to kind of navigate something that is a little bit tricky to understand from a property owner's perspective. Right now we have 20 megawatts currently in operation. We have 5 megawatts of projects in the final stages being interconnected and turned on here within the next few weeks, actually. Another 5 megawatts behind that, beginning construction, and then 18 megawatts behind that, even in early stage development. So again, we definitely understand the program, and we're here to help you. Myself and Luis will be in the back here to discuss the program with you, get some information, and hopefully we can work together to continue this great program. So that is the time that we have. Thank you all for coming, and we look forward to talking to you after this is over.
So now we're going to ask Matt Diminich to come up, Vice President of Development at PCS Energy. Matt.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to show up here. I just want to say thank you, everyone, to be here currently, especially the Business Council for setting this up, LADWP for being present and for helping start some of these programs which help the economic viability of solar. Sometimes we know as both building owners and stakeholders that a lot of these projects are extremely challenging, so very special thanks. We are at a very unique time where local, state, and federal incentives are making solar more viable. PCS Energy is a locally based Los Angeles company. Principals, employees, everyone works and lives within city limits and has been active in the space since 2013. We have approximately over 200 projects installed throughout the city. Our sister company, Chargy, is active in the electric vehicle charging space. So as Ronick mentioned, there's a synergy between those two. We are one of the companies that takes pride in offering both solutions. In most of our installations, Chargy has done over 20,000 chargers throughout the city as well, so a very strong presence, including many here in Pacoima. And so as mentioned previously, we've navigated both the net meter programs before, helping reduce some of your energy costs. Capture tax benefits will be there throughout the entire process to help you navigate that, capture both the economic and environmental benefits, as well as the feed-in tariff, where we handle all of the expenses, the operations, all of the permitting, development, and operation of the systems. We're also increasing a revenue stream for a 20-year contract to your facilities, whether that's on a rooftop, carport, or a canopy structure. We work very closely with LADWP, both in helping with some of these programs get installed, as well as LADBS, in terms of some of the permitting challenges there that are associated. So that's something that's covered by PCS throughout. I do want to mention how Fit Plus is one of the budding programs. It's a pilot program currently. That is where battery storage is incorporated. There's a lot that can be captured there. Fortunately, as you might have seen in the map, it's a little small, but on the map there, it showed that Pacoima is largely covered, as well as predominantly disadvantaged community. So there are more incentives and programs available here than some of the others. PCS can definitely help assist in some of those installations at no cost to many of the project owners. So as always, we look to make sure the community is always involved and engaged. We look to support areas like Pacoima throughout the valley. We do have experience both in the C&I space, so commercial and industrial, multifamily, residential, as well as nonprofits. So Discover Cube in Sylmar, as well as One Generation nonprofit daycare, and several installations under the feed-in tariff at the Van Nuys Airport. So with that, I'll be right in the back there. So any questions, you're not going to be quizzed on anything that you're given here. That's what we're here for. So feel free to reach out. Please.
Do you do the building of the carports?
We do, yes. So the question was, do we do the building of the carports? We do. We make sure all of that's done. We aim to make sure that the parking lot is in better condition than when we started. And then always working with all of the timelines, anything that as building owners you may have questions about. 20 years, it's a long time, so we help navigate that, make sure that it makes most sense for everyone involved. That is about all the time we have. Any other quick questions? Alrighty, thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you, Matt. And PCS, last but not least, we're going to welcome John DeWong, Chief Executive Officer at GreenQuest.
Thank you, Jack. I guess I'm the designated cleanup hitter here, so thank you, Ariel, for that role and entrusting me in that role. I want to take this opportunity to also introduce a colleague of mine in the room, Grant Newman. He's our Director of Real Estate. So hopefully he'll be busy in the back of the room after this and speaking with all of you about the opportunities here today. But everything has been covered about the benefits of solar and about LADWP's various programs, the FIT program, FIT Plus program. I want to thank Ronak and his team at DWP here for pioneering and leading this very progressive, great economic incentives, and as well as probably the strongest offering in the country here with regards to incentivizing the community from property owners to developers, and obviously reaching the city's LA 100 goals. My colleagues at PCS and Valta have covered almost everything. And so I'll skip all the benefits parts. I'd say we concur with all the benefits involved. We're operating in this space and therefore have various offerings with regards to our services, but we concur with all the benefits involved. A little bit about GreenQuest and who are we and how we potentially may differentiate ourselves. We're a portfolio company of True Green Capital. That is exclusively investing in green energy around the country. We've developed to date about 550 megawatts across 14 states in the U.S. We've deployed about $1.2 billion in assets throughout these projects. More specifically, we raised last year about $650 million just to deploy more programs like this throughout the country, and of which we want to concentrate here in the Southern California market. Specifically in LA, we've done a number of large projects and whatnot. I'm just going to run through a couple of examples. In Westmont, we came in and rescued the project from prior developers and financed, constructed to completion. At completion, it was then the largest rooftop solar in the world at 16 megawatts. And Mary, I believe you were there for the ribbon cutting ceremony. And that was basically a good demonstrated project of LABC's work and success in advocating for the FIT program. So thank you, LABC, and your leadership for that. We also did another large project at the U.S. Postal Service in South LA. That was a 12 megawatt project that includes rooftop, a combination of rooftop and carport structures. And the Port of LA, we did 10 megawatts of primarily rooftops and carports and some rooftops at the Port of LA for the port, and in addition to the tenants of the port themselves. Most recently, we just, former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger just did a ribbon cutting ceremony at Alto Sea. We did a 3 megawatt project there at that facility. Quite challenging. It's an older historical building, has over 110 skylights and whatnot, and it's going through under renovation themselves. So there was quite a bit to maneuver through, and we carried it to completion. And continuing there, we are about to launch a couple of megawatt projects on the carports for the West Harbor project. So that's going to be an exciting one as well. Here in the Valley, we have a few, DeSoto and the Prairie, and we're excited about this next one is at Anheuser-Busch. We're going to be developing a few megawatts there at Anheuser-Busch, both carports and rooftop itself. So you guys, you can see we have a strong track record. And overall, we developed ongoing now 70 plus megawatts of FIT program. That represents about 70% of what Ronak mentioned about what's 102 megawatts of FIT portfolio that LAWP has. And so relying on that record, we are continuing to commit our resource and invest in LA and support the city in achieving its LA 100 goals. We work well with DWP, and we're proud to basically have ability and demonstrate ability to complete our projects on time and on budget. They're not always, easy, as Matt mentioned, and a lot to maneuver through. But we want to earn your business. We want to earn your trust in your business. like our friends in the industry. We come up with our own capital, run our own projects and whatnot. Basically, we'll lease the property from you and make payments to you from the form of lease. And we work with LAWP. So like in that cost, it creates literally a win-win-win situation for everyone involved. So in closing, I want to thank Barbara and Ernesto for welcoming us here and hosting us. I want to thank Mary and LABC and the crew here, Ariel, I'm seeing David, and I believe, who else is out there, for your leadership in driving the policy advocacy piece and actually now to full execution on its 10th year of the program. So thank you for your steadfast leadership on this. And as well as Assemblymember Rivas for her leadership, not only representing this area, but also in Sacramento. So thank you for the time and opportunity. I will be back there and hopefully we'll be able to share more information with you should you have any more questions. Thanks again.